Good evening. This is Kilo Alpha 6 Echo Tango Echo. Name's Jim, net control operator for tonight's Northern Colorado Amateur Radio Club TechNet. Looking for check-ins. Anyone wanting to check into tonight's TechNet, please call now.
This is good evening, Joe. Long time. WB0MH. This is Kilo Echo Zero. Leave me Charlie Kilo, KE0LCK, the other mic for Windsor.
Good evening, Mike and Mike. Anyone else wanting to check in for tonight's TechNet, please call now.
This is Alpha Echo Zero, Charlie Foxtrot, Ben, full calls.
Good evening, Ben. Anyone else wanting to check in for tonight's TechNet? Looking for check-ins, please call now. Yeah, so far it's a short list. Yeah, this is KA6ETE, Jim, tonight's net controller for the Northern Colorado Amateur Radio Club TechNet. Looking for check-ins. If you're wishing to check in for tonight's net, please call. Well, hopefully we get people checking in late. Well, out of the four of us, including myself, anyone have any questions or anything they want to discuss?
Yeah, hi, Jim. WB0MH. Yeah, I got something I want to bring up.
WB0MH, Mike, go ahead.
Okay. This coming July 1st, the general class exam that it currently is in effect becomes obsolete, and the new one comes into effect. So the old one is out and the new one is in on July 1st of this year. So month after next. Anybody that wants to do anything for a general class will probably have to start looking at the new general class book that should be available in some places. But yeah, the exam is changing July 1st. WB0MH.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for the reminder, Mike. I know it was brought up at the NCARC club meeting this past Saturday about a general course and studying with the change in question pool. I know recently the KB6 NU's No Nonsense guides, they just uploaded the new general, I believe, late last week, so that I know that one is available. I'm pretty sure the ARRL's study guide should be available soon. I did not see that on their website.
Yep, understood. But yeah, I get notices on that, and I just thought I'd bring it up on the air. All right, well, thank you very much for letting me make that announcement. I appreciate it. And I'm going to go back doing what I was doing and chasing my furry box around the house. So have a good one, WB0MH.
Thank you. This is Kilo Alpha 6 Echo Tango Echo, net control for tonight's Northern Colorado Amateur Radio Club TechNet. Anyone else wanting to check in, please call now.
Kilo Echo 0, Romeo X-Ray Foxtrot, Randy in Fort Collins.
Good evening, Randy. How are you doing this evening?
Good, I'm very happy I actually remembered. I have been forgetting for weeks. I completely forgot Saturday's meeting and training session, and so it's always good to remember, particularly when you're my age.
Yeah, remembering can be hard. I set reminders on my phone to remind me of everything anymore. Anyone else wanting to check into tonight's TechNet, please call now. Hey, nothing. We'll move on, and hopefully more people start checking in and get some good discussion going. I got some stuff together to cover the topic of boondocking portable antennas and different types of propagation for portable antennas. Anyone have any questions or comments they would like to start with?
LCK.
LCK, Mike, go ahead.
SK0LCK, and a semi-related topic, the boondocking type thing where you're setting up a temporary antenna situation for a brief expedition or field day or whatever you may have. I have an opportunity coming up this week, as a matter of fact, later in the week, and I have to get an antenna up, VHF, UHF antenna up high enough to get over a brick building. Fortunately, it's only 1 story high. So I have an idea what I'm going to do, and you don't have access to the roof, so you can't put it on the roof. I'm looking for alternative suggestions.
That's a great question, and one that I've actually done. I know, depending on weather, obviously don't want to do it in bad weather situations, is the top rail fence post for chain link fence. It's 1 3/8 inch diameter, comes in 10-foot sections, and they slide together nice and easily. I've done 3 sections to get a quick portable 30-foot mast up. I have gone higher with it using ratchet straps as guy lines. You can cinch them on 15-20 foot up for your guy line and attach the antenna to the top of that. I also have a tripod with a fiberglass mast that goes up 20 foot that I like to use more often, but if I do need to go higher, I've resorted to using the top rail for chain link fence. It's fairly inexpensive. I think it's right around $1 a foot, so that's always an option. Anyone else have any suggestions? I'm not hearing any other suggestions for you, Mike. You know, that give you a little bit more idea, or another alternative. I'm not sure what you were considering using.
Yeah, Jim, it's KZLCK. Somebody was trying to come in, and I heard something about aluminum pipe, but it wasn't. It was very, very scratchy. But getting it up there is one thing, and what do you put on the top? What kind of antenna? Because this is, we're not talking about a permanent installation. We're just talking about a couple hours in a day or something like that, and it's got to be VHF, UHF type thing.
I've done them. I have a Diamond X30 that I use for a portable dual band UHF VHF. I've actually done it with just using a UHF mount Diamond 770 dual band mobile antenna on top of a mast that works fairly well too.
And that would be even without the ground plane of the vehicle, or you're not using a magnetic type thing on a piece of metal. You're just sticking it up there, right?
Yeah, that's just sticking it up there. Kind of acts, the coax going up the mast kind of acts like the, no, I cannot think of what it's called when you have a single wire as a ground plane, but it uses the coax as the other end, and I've set something like that up and been able to easily get 50-60 miles range out of it with no issues.
I have a roll-up J-pole antenna I was thinking about using, but you have to get those away from the mast somewhat. Not a lot, but somewhat. And if you don't have a flexible mast, it tends to ride right alongside of it. If you use something that's not going up too high, it's flexible, it'll just bend over enough, and I think that might work. I don't know. Like I said, I've got to try something here. It's getting over the building thing. That's the challenge for it.
Yeah, definitely. I know if you have a rigid mast, I have a whole bunch of, every time I replace my tent, I keep the collapsible fiberglass poles for them. I have about 10 to 15 of them that are anywhere from 15 foot to 25 foot in length. I'd be more than happy to let you borrow one or give you one. I mean, you can use that flexible J-pole or roll-up J-pole, attach to the top of it, and it'll arc over enough. If you put 10 foot on top of the rigid mast, it'll arc over enough to get you away from the metal mast.
I'm thinking of some ideas, but since it's going to be so temporary, I think duct tape is going to be my friend, or electrical tape, or something like that, where it's just kind of angled over just a little bit to get it away from the mast portion, and yet high enough to get it up over the top of the building, so we can make Horsetooth from Greeley.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's definitely a lot of options. Definitely worth taking 2 or 3 options so you can, if one doesn't work, you have another one to fall back on to attempt with.
A0CF caller.
A0CF, Ben, go ahead with your comment.
Just wondering, perhaps would it make sense to also get a plastic piece, stick your antenna inside a plastic piece, and attach it to the end of that metal mast, so that you should be able to keep it farther away. At least it's going to be inline, sort of, to the mast, and maybe you get some better results from that. This is a easier CF.
K0LCK, yeah. I've had success with the roll-up J-poles before, but like I said, you have to keep them away from whatever's around them. You can't have it like on the side of a garage or something like that, or any kind of interfering rigid structure. It tends to really take away from it. So I don't need to get it out too far. One of the things, except for how do you stabilize it, would be to tilt the whole thing a little bit. And that just depends on what I've got around me. I know that there's about an 8-foot brick wall. So if I took the base and put it away from the edge of the wall and rested it on the wall, but somehow could secure it, I'd have a slight angle just so I could maybe do it that way. It's going to be, let's see what we got at the time type situation. I don't know what else to try. Let's get you 0LCK.
Well, I was wondering how well it would work if you just had that plastic piece, the same diameter as the pole that you're using, the metal pole, which I'm kind of scared of how heavy that thing will end up being. But yeah, you would need that for durability. But if you have it just attached just straight on to use whatever couplers you need, might need to. I don't know if you're going to route the feed line through the pipe or run it alongside the pipe or something else. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, just some ideas, I guess. Just because it's in line, you might not have to worry about have it by along its side, which probably is worse.
Feed line I was planning on running up on the outside of whatever mast I have going, and like I said before, just using a couple strips of tape just to keep it stabilized somewhat, so that it doesn't become a wind catcher to put more strain on it. But I think some sort of extension at the top, and would probably be the best. It's just a question of whether it be a pipe fitting, a PVC pipe fitting, or whatever. I don't have the pipe fitting, but I have enough time to go get something to make it work. So stabilize it maybe. Have a tripod I could stake out, put the pole through the tripod, and have to extend it up far enough at least to get over the 1 story with some sort of angle. That's kind of what I'm thinking now, and I'll have to give it a try. K0LCK.
Well, yeah, I guess the nice thing is that you want to keep the bottom half as strong as possible, and the top half might be you can use plastic and stuff like that, so you don't have to deal with shielding effects by the plastic. So, well, I don't know. Just some ideas to keep the weight down. Have the stronger section towards the bottom. Have a weaker section toward the top, and maybe get good antenna that way. It's easier to see.
You know, one time I've tried extending pieces of PVC pipe, and the fittings on those aren't deep enough or strong enough, and they tend to separate where, Jim was saying using the top rail of the fence post. That's a lot stronger. But, this is like a one-time thing, and I really hate to invest something in, I'd rather jury-rig a temporary situation with what I've got, which is, a tripod, extendable mass, and like I said, coming up with something at the top to make a little bit of a standoff.
I guess you don't really even need to use a PVC pipe. Just get some piece of wood or something like that. Just something extending the fence top post. I'm assuming you know exactly what you're talking about. Maybe I'm totally off base here, but I was just thinking that you just basically extend that pole, even the middle pole, even higher with some non-conducting material. That should be sufficient. Doesn't have to look good. The PVC probably look actually not nearly as bad. Actually, probably more stable. But I don't know. Just more ideas.
Well, the only other thing I'm thinking of is what I have available and what can I do. I have a collapsible fishing pole type thing that it doesn't have eyelets or anything like that, but it extends up to about 15 feet. What I could do is use that because it's extremely flexible when you extend it all the way out, and I generally don't extend it out with the last 2 sections, and it still gets up. So, duct tape is my friend, I guess.
Yep, duct tape is your friend. That's a very good material for these really jury-rigged antennas. They're easier to see.
Most of the time when we go out into the woods or something like that, we don't generally have to worry about structures that are in the way, and we have access to, tripods or trees or something like that where you can put a line up in it. And this is just a little different in that, you have the brick structure that you can't just set it up and have it go through the building, because that won't work. We've tried that before. It has to either be way away from it, which is not practical because of the coax run, or getting it up at least higher above it, and that's kind of what I'm shooting for. So the more I'm thinking about it is extending the fishing pole on top of the fiberglass pole attached to the tripod that's staked down, and I think that might be my way to go. It's the only way I can think of getting an easy offset angle at the top. So unless anybody's got anything else, I'm going to try that. But I'll turn it back over to you at the net, Jim. KE0LCK.
Yeah, definitely. Urban settings pose different challenges than backcountry and up in the mountains. This is Kilo Alpha 6, Echo Tango Echo, net control for this evening's Northern Colorado Amateur Radio Club TechNet. Do we have any other stations that would like to check in that have not checked in yet? Please call now.
This is Kilo Foxtrot 4, Delta Uniform Sierra, KF4 DUS, Horsetooth Mike.
This is Alpha Echo 0, Golf Mike, Georgian Berthoud.
Kilo Delta 0, Kilo Sierra Papa 7, Loveland, evening everyone.
This is Whiskey 0 Alpha Sierra Papa, W0ASP, Terry in Berthoud.
Okay, I got 4 of you in there. KF4DUS, AE0GM, W0ASP, the KD0 station. I did not catch your suffix or your name. You're a little weak into the repeater. I don't know if you want to try again.
Yeah, Kilo Delta 0, Kilo Sierra Papa. Name is Ted, Tango Echo Delta, and I'm in Loveland.
Gotcha that time, KD0 KSP. Yeah, you're a little weak into the repeater. Static in there also. So I don't know if it might just be the area you're in, but we can definitely get you in there. Anyone have any questions for the net? Again, if you didn't hear, we were talking about original topic was boondocking, portable antennas, and propagation. Mike brought up as far as portable antennas in urban settings. Anyone have any questions for the net?
DUS.
DUS. Mike, go ahead.
KF4 DUS. I've seen Ryan K0EFP set up his mast at field days a lot. And what he used was an extension ladder, and then he'd, I guess he used PVC pipe, and then no. He duct taped the wire antenna to the top of the extension ladder, and then he put out guy wires to stand the ladder straight up all by itself. And he successfully used that. And as long as your wire is far enough away from the metal of the ladder, it did all right.
Yeah, that's another good idea. Even for, I don't know how exactly how tall the building is you're going to be up against, Mike. KE0LCK, an extension ladder would be something you could lean up against the building and not really have to worry about it falling side to side.
It's KE0LCK. The only problem with that is getting the extension ladder, which is of substantial length, even when it's folded up down there. It doesn't go on the roof of the car, and it won't fit inside the car. I know that.
I have one of these ladders that you can fold it into an A-frame or make a scaffolding out of it, bend it at two ends. Or you can unlock it and then fold it up straight into a straight ladder, and that, when it collapses on itself, it would fit on the top of a vehicle.
Right around 5.5 foot and fully extended is 18.5 foot extension ladder. They're very nice and portable, but yeah, always an option. Anyone have any other questions or comments for the net? Please call now.
Hello, 0 Alpha Romeo Delta.
I believe that was K0 ARD. Go ahead.
I was at the Big Boy event in Laramie a couple weekends ago, and they were transmitting at like 166 something, and I was trying to do simplex with my friend TJ, and it just failed, and we couldn't figure out what was going on. Why just doing simplex back and forth to each other 100 yards apart, we had trouble communicating. I got nothing. So we were wondering what we were doing wrong. Just straight simplex communication right on a single band within our range, and couldn't get anything. I got an error actually when I tried to transmit. That's what my HT told me.
One question, were you trying to use the 166 frequency that they were using up there?
But actually, we weren't on the same frequency as they were. We were a few, things off from that, so we wouldn't interfere with theirs.
Was it 148 megahertz for the 2-meter band? For most radios will not transmit on that frequency.
Okay, that's our fault. TJ's radio transmitted, but mine did not, and probably his is better than mine, and so that's us being moronic technicians not realizing that we were transmitting outside our band.
Yeah, he possibly could have either a Part 90 certified radio which will transmit out of band on the commercial frequencies, or some of the Bofang radios and some of the other ones that are not technically Part 90 certified will still transmit out of frequency, or there's what they call a Mars cap mod done that will allow out of band transmission on the radio. But it's always a good idea to know what the frequency range is for the band you're operating on. I know the 2-meter band is 144.1 megahertz through 148 megahertz for phone or voice transmission, and 144 to 144.1 for CW.
For that clarification, yes, we are both on Yaesus, and I could receive but not transmit, and that makes sense. I am now feeling really dopey for not paying attention to my legal transmission limits.
Everyone makes mistakes. It's how you learn from them that makes who you are as a amateur radio operator. I know for the first 2 years I got in the habit of always carrying the band plan chart with me, especially for the 2-meter and 70 centimeter. As a technician, that's pretty much all you can use anyway. other than some other stuff that I never got into until later on. But carried it with me, so I always knew what frequencies I could use and always paid attention to it. Like I said, everyone makes mistakes.
Understanding. Here's another question. I was participating in TechNet a couple of 3 weeks ago, driving down to Denver using my fancy new external antenna, and I could receive and hear what was happening, no problem, but couldn't transmit. It appears that nobody could hear me, and I'm wondering if that was just a power issue. I was able to receive our TechNet either via the Horsetooth repeater or the Lee Hill repeater, but was not able to transmit, and I'm guessing that's because the power output of my HT wasn't enough.
And the power output can have something to do with it. I know some areas going down I-25, I travel that route quite often. There's some areas where receive is definitely a lot stronger than trying to transmit, and when you're moving, you automatically need more power for the most part. If you're stationary, you can get away with a lot lower power, but I mean, it's a good possibility power, as long as you had the offset and tone set correctly for the Lee Hill repeater. That's always another option. I know some of the Yaesus, it's easy to bump the tone function out of whack on some of them.
Yes, I was wondering about that. I did check that, and I was okay there, but I think it was probably a power and motion issue. Thank you.
Easier CF caller.
Ben, go ahead with your comment.
Yeah, likewise, I cannot. I've never been able to reach the Colorado connection from either any of my equipment right now. So I just wanted to mention another possibility is I don't know what antenna you have. You might want to try getting another antenna with higher gain. Usually these are longer, and you might be able to get a few more effective watts towards the direction that you want to transmit to. Is it easier with you?
A0ARD, thank you for that advice. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Kilo Alpha 6 Echo Tango Echo, net control for this evening's Northern Colorado Amateur Radio Club TechNet. Do we have any other questions, comments, or any other additional stations that would like to check in? Please call now. There, nothing. I'll ask a question. I know I'm going to be doing some testing this year. And just now, over the past year, getting into more HF stuff and getting set up for a little bit more off-grid use for camping and that. What does anyone prefer, vertical or long wire antenna? If anyone has done any type of boondocking or remote use. I know I'll be trying both later this year as soon as weather warms up a little bit more. But I have both the multi-band vertical and 3 different long wire dipoles that I'll be trying in different configurations. Anyone have any luck or any recommendations?
U.S.
DUS, go ahead.
Yeah, for the U.S. Wire antennas are much more portable than a vertical antenna. I've never owned a vertical antenna, but I know people who have. And K0PRB has a gap. I don't know if it's the Titan or the Challenger. I don't know which one it is, but he went through some growing pains in tuning each band of it, and had to go back up and down on the roof to tweak this, tweak that, and it seemed like more trouble than it was worth for that type of antenna, where you can just throw up a wire in a tree or on a pole or something, and put a tuner on it, and you're good to go. But that's just me. I prefer a wire because it's more portable than a vertical would be.
Yeah, definitely. Wire antennas can be more portable. I know I went and bought one of it's a Chameleon hybrid antenna for vertical that total length is 24 foot. It collapses down into 2 foot. Each section connected together with elastic cord through the center of it, and it uses a 25 foot counterpoise wire that I'll be trying. I also have a 100 foot long wire end fed and a 200 foot center fed that I'll be trying this summer. I try different things, see what works best for what conditions and what the range is for each.
Did forget, I have used a 102-inch whip antenna with CB whip, which is centered on 11 meters, but it also worked well on 10 meters and 12 meters without the use of a tuner. I know a couple of people who put tuners on a 102-inch whip, and the tuner will tune right into it. I made a contact in Madrid, Spain, from a 102-inch whip that I had to attach to the top of the ladder of my fifth wheel out in the back here. And then it was a particularly good week for 10 meters. And then I talked to a lady in Hawaii on the sideband as well. And then several times that week I talked on 10 meter FM, even to a guy in Florida, and it sounded just like we're talking here on a repeater here. But you have to be a little higher than a technician to use 10 meter FM. You can go 6 meter FM and sideband as a technician, but not on 10 meter. But a couple of people I know have successfully used a tuner on a 102-inch whip, and it worked out well for them. Yeah, for the U.S.
Yeah, definitely. And that was the big thing. I went through, had my technician, then got my general, and then started getting to HF and went up to my extra class just because I could, and I didn't want to be limited in any of the bands. I wanted to be able to use the full band and not have to worry about being a couple hertz off. I wanted to be able to use the whole band. Anyone have any questions or comments for the TechNet?
CK?
LCK, Mike, go ahead.
AHS side, I've had a low experience of that. The last 2 field days have gone up to none, and it is nothing but a big, wide, open field. So there's no trees to throw a line up to or anything like that. So your wire antennas are going to be supported by either poles, or if you use an end-fed wire, which I particularly care for, is you only need one pole and a couple of radials and you're good to go. I also have tried the vertical buddy stick, which is a coil-loaded vertical, that had some success on with that. The only issue with that is that when you change bands, you need to adjust the coil settings. Now, most of them come with some sort of mechanism to tag or preset the locations for, say, like the middle of 20 or the middle of 40 meters, so that you can not take too long to change over, but there's still some required fiddling, I'll call it, and those are a lot more sensitive to the counterpoise and need to be tuned every time that you do change the settings. But like I said, there's two different alternatives where there aren't trees around.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I want to. So I'm going to be playing with both long wire and vertical. That way I can see what works best for me in what conditions, and never be limited to having to have a tree or multiple supports. I can do everything with one support in a tree or a single support only. I like things that are multifunction and multi-purpose. I don't want to have to set up 4 different supports and everything else. I want it fairly simple and quick to set up. I don't want to spend half a day setting something up if I don't have to.
Another thing is similar type to the buddy stick is the Wolf River coils attached to one of MFJ. I think it's a 17-foot expandable or collapsible antenna with a couple of radios you run off of that. Mark Clark swears by this, and he goes out camping and uses this all the time. And the Wolf River coil is a little more sturdy and can be used for mobile operations. And the changeover procedures for that are a little bit easier overall, but it's just a slightly different variation of the same idea of a loaded coil. Back to you, Keith, or LCK.
Yeah, I guess the vertical I have, the Chameleon, it's their CHA-MIL hybrid. It's similar to the buddy pole. It's supposed to cover 6 meter through 160 meter, and everything is done with a tuner. There are no adjustments to be made on the antenna to go between bands. I know I have hooked it up temporary on my base radio. I have the 991A, and I was able to effectively use 20 meter, 40 meter, and 80 meter using the internal tuner on the radio only. Now I have a LDG external tuner that I got to go along with it that will be used out in the field with 12-volt tuner that does everything through the coax, so there's no additional wire to send up to the antenna itself for tuning. It's supposed to do everything internal. I know the short testing I did with it at home, with it set up in my front yard, like I said, looked real promising when I get out in the field and actually try it and use it more.
Now, I've seen those before, and they sound very attractive. They really do. You know, and you've used it at home, and it works there. So it kind of gives you hope that when you get out in the field, you'll also have some success. I mean, what kind of power are you going to think you'll be running once you get out in the field?
Up to 100 watts. I have the Yaesu, the FT 857 all mode or all band radio that UHF, VHF, HF, and 6-meter radio that I'll be using. I have it set up in a Go box, and I have a total of 240 amp hours worth of battery and solar panel for charging. So I can run up to 100 watts on HF, which I'll probably only try and use lower power to save the batteries, but I can go up to 100 watts.
That sounds like you got a winner there. I really think it sounds very, very promising, so I'm anxious to hear how it does.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to decide if I want to go to field day out in Nunn, or I've actually considered going out in the mountains up to the summit of Storm Mountain, which is right around 10,000 feet, and setting up there, up at the top. You can drive all the way up there, and there's a nice big flat area that I could set everything up. So it'll definitely be used on field day, just whether it's up in the mountains or out in Nunn.
Anybody that gets into any type of emergency operation should really, really consider going out on field day. Even if you pretend to go out in the backyard and say, okay, I don't have shore power or anything like that, I've got to work it from here and try it out. It's amazing when you start setting things up. You say, oh, I need this connector or that stake or whatever it is, and you quickly realize the kit that you actually need to take is a little bit more involved than what you may think, and it's very good practice for any kind of emergency. So, I'm voting for Storm Mountain, but hey, it's just me.
Yeah, I'll definitely let you know if I'm going there. You're always more than welcome. It'd be nice to get a few people set up there just to see what can be done from that type of elevation on field day. But this is Kilo Alpha 6 Echo Tango Echo, net control for this evening's TechNet. We have any other questions, comments, or anything in general? Hearing nothing, we'll do one last round for late check-ins. Anyone want to check in for this evening's TechNet? Please call now.
Kilo Echo 4, Juliet, India, Charlie, Scott in Fort Collins.
Hey, got Scott in there. It sounded like there was another station trying to get in that wasn't holding the repeater. You want to try again?
M0YLS, Mike in Livermore.
Got you in there, Mike. Do one last round, see if anyone has any additional questions for the net. Hearing nothing, I'd like to thank everyone for checking into this evening's net. And this is Kilo Alpha 6 Echo Tango Echo, net control for this evening's Northern Colorado Amateur Radio Club TechNet. Look forward to hearing from everyone next week, Monday, 6 p.m. for the start of the net and check-ins. The reminder, everyone, that the NCARC Club Net is Wednesday evenings at 6:30 with early check-in starting at 6 p.m. And this is Kilo Alpha 6 Echo Tango Echo 73. Have a good evening. The repeater is open for general use.
This presentation was brought to you by the Northern Colorado Amateur Radio Club. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.